stories possess the power to reshape mindsets, alter probabilities, and pave the way for new possibilities. Despite the significant contributions of women to society, only 0.5% of recorded history is about their stories. As a media company, Violet Simon is dedicated to amplifying women's voices and experiences from all walks of life through storytelling to inform, foster equitable and inclusive representation, promote equality, and create a safe space where women's voices are heard with actionable insights. In today's world, women often find themselves challenging the norm by default. Among them are individuals striving to create a better world, going against the grain to make a meaningful difference where they can. Through our Disruptors series, we celebrate these women and shed light on their stories, challenges, and successes. The word disruptor sometimes carries a negative connotation. However, at Violet Simon, we believe being a disruptor can also be positive. We aim to modify the perception of this world, to celebrate women challenging the status quo and creating opportunities for women to leave their mark in spaces where they were previously not welcomed. The Disruptors magazine book has been groundbreaking, and now we are here with a documentary to push the narrative further. Our stories are meant to inspire others, to draw strength and instigate positive change in sectors, industries, society, and everyday life.
Look at her, standing tall. She braces herself up if the wall should fall. Hands on her head and her back against the wall. She is a strong woman, fighting them all. Look at her, y'all. She's got an number one, little did you know. She ain't so regular, this woman's got it all. All alone, fighting all the crew, them lost.
One of the most disruptive aspects of my life was deciding that I was going to get help mentally, because if I didn't, I was going to die.
Look at her, standing tall. She braces herself up if the wall should fall. Hands on her head and her back against the wall. She is a strong woman, fighting them all.
Challenge and change the status quo. And it's so important, because when I say challenge and change the status quo, it's because something doesn't serve us anymore and we need to do something about it. It could be in your family, it could be in your, to yourself, and it could be in your workplace, it could be just in everyday life. And to us, that is what we consider as disruptors.
And I believe that we're all defined by our narratives. Sometimes we have narratives that we post on LinkedIn or on social media, and they look great and they're all the good things we want to tell the world. But I think really what defines us is the crucibles that then force us to change our narratives. And I'm going to give you an example of mine. 5 years ago, on this exact day, 27th of April, a couple of miles down the road, I lay on the floor, hit by a car, totally blind, told I wasn't going to make it because 3 ambulances couldn't move me.
Thank you for giving me a positive platform to turn pain into power. I think that's what partly being a disruptor means. It means where you can go through a situation and you experience pain, but you don't come out angry about that pain. You actually say, this is a need for change that needs to happen in the world. And so I'm going to positively channel that pain into something more powerful. And so that's what I mean by pain into power.
There was a bigger narrative and a bigger crucible in the background. within 24 hours of that, I suffered what was my 7th post-traumatic brain injury at the hands of my perpetrator. That is when I decided to disrupt my life.
Getting out of that situation was challenging because there are social and cultural norms that dictated that living in that kind of an environment for a female is okay, and it wasn't okay.
It's our life, we're all individuals, and I think we should decide if we feel happy, sad, uncomfortable, comfortable. That shouldn't be on anyone else, and if it is, then we need to claim back our power because we're letting them decide otherwise.
I've been very fortunate to have received an MBE from the monarchy. I've received an honorary doctorate from my former university. You know, I've been on Fortune magazine, I'm on the Glam Tour 50 Under 50.
But that's what you see above the iceberg, which Sophia talked about. Underneath the iceberg is a whole different narrative. And I think what's important in being a disruptor is claiming back your power, having the energy and the soul to say, there are some days where I don't even feel like I'm gonna be able to survive, but I'm gonna give it a go, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna surround myself with energy that's positive, that tunes into the frequency and the wavelength on which I want to operate.
And I think that's just it, right? In being a disruptor, sometimes you don't even realize that you have courage. Sometimes you need a community like the Disruptors community to have courage. Sometimes you need to question why things happen in your life, and yes, they happen to you, but do you consciously or subconsciously let them happen?
I'm going to unlearn all of those social, economic, generational traumas that were conditioning my existence to redefine what works for me. And so in short, if you can get to a point where you're comfortable being a very solid version of yourself in your own eyes, where you're comfortable looking in the mirror and saying, I recognize not only what I see on the outside, but truly what I value, believe, and stand for on the inside. And the people I choose to keep in my life reflect that to a great extent. I think for me that is positive disruption in the most prolific way, because you actually then reframe your entire existence.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And to Disruptors.
Yeah!
Onwards and upwards.
This woman so big, and she occupies space. This woman so big, and she
Teenagers that I work with ask me a lot about how to get into activism and how to change the world. And the first thing I say to them is activism is not as sexy as you think. What fewer people know about me is that between 2015 and 2016, I was very briefly the government's mental health czar. Don't ask me what that is, I still don't know. I lasted 9 months, so that's how long it takes to grow a baby and to become completely disillusioned with the political system.
It was actually the newspaper who said, oh, she's a czar, which is an unpaid government advisor. So I guess if the cap fits, you know, that's what they were thinking.
Any kind of cursory Google of me will impress upon you the extent to which I am not a Tory. So when the Tory government called me and said, do you want this position, I thought a mistake had been made. And they said, no, yeah, I'm in 3 or 4 schools or colleges a week on average throughout the UK. Sometimes I travel further afield throughout the world. And they said, you're on the front line and we want to hear your expertise. And I thought, okay, there's a real opportunity here. So what followed was 9 months of me, unpaid by the way, being invited to these roundtables where there were these guys saying, oh, we're thinking of giving the young people an app where you can get a badge that says you've got good mental health, because young people like badges. And I'm going, yeah, that will solve the mental health crisis. Well done, everyone.
I feel like there was almost a kind of national gaslighting going on with mental health, where people could see the services dwindling. They could see their communities were not being funded correctly. And yet you had government press releases coming out every month saying we're putting record amount of funding into this, and you know, this is a priority for us. And so to have someone say, well, actually, you know, this funding isn't ring-fenced, it's being spent on potholes in this constituency, and you've got to look at funding per head as well, and you have to take other things into consideration. It was almost like people were going, oh, phew. You know, it's not just me somebody's recognizing the truth of what's going on here. There's definitely been some criticism of what I do, people saying that mental health education pathologizes feelings and it makes young people not resilient, not able to deal with challenges that they face in life. But I think those criticisms only really come from people who have never experienced what it is that myself and people like me are offering, because what we're saying to young people is actually we're teaching you to sit with difficult feelings, to recognize when you need help, and to process and move on in a timely fashion.
These emails, they're saying, we don't know what to do. We've given her a peerage. We've offered her a column in a magazine. We keep chucking stuff at this woman, and still she keeps telling the truth. And what that made me realize is that's rare, and I didn't know that was rare before. I thought, oh, okay, so most people have a price at which they start following the line. And that's when I realized that I'm not saying I'm unique in that whatsoever. This room is full of people who are like this, but I think we are rare. If you're the kind of person who will authentically tell the truth no matter what it costs you and no matter what the benefits are of not doing that, then you are a disruptor.
Who can far, oh far, who can quench, oh far, who can say that her place in the broken boys, who can mute, oh far, who can deep.
I always like to start saying I'm Raga or totally out now, as you know me. I'm a gay Indian woman, I'm a lesbian. We've been together 16 years and this is actually my wife. And all the things I said are things that I would never said in my life before. The word gay, the word lesbian, the word wife, I ran away from. If you had asked me all these questions even 2 years ago, I would have said, what? Who are you talking about?
This woman's brave, this woman's so big, and she occupies space. This woman's so big, and she occupies space.
In India, there was absolutely no representation. So, you can't be what you can't see. So in which case, like if I didn't see any representation around me about lesbians, gays, like I said, there were trans people who are hijuras in India, and they were so badly bullied that you wouldn't want to be one of them. I had written a letter to a friend of mine, my close friend who was living in the Middle East. And I said to my friend, Ravi and I are separating, and it is possible that I may explore dating a woman. And I just wrote that and I didn't have the courage to send it. Those days, there was only Hotmail. We hardly sent Hotmail emails. And I put that letter away in my cupboard. My mother decided she was going to open the closet for me, literally. And this is the part where there is trigger warning, please. Because one night when I was putting my kids to bed, in the middle of the night, I just heard this voice, this sound. And I thought, oh, I wonder if there is a burglar in the house. And then suddenly there was this loud screaming. And literally, I'm just going to show this. This is what I saw in the dark room, a shiny, shiny blade. And I heard my mother screaming and saying, she called me names, she called me a bitch. She said, you brought shame to our family. How dare you? Have you become a hijra now? Am I going to call you uncle? And I just didn't understand what was happening. And then I realized that she may have read the letter and she had read the content and she was so homophobic and she was scared. She thought, what was going to happen to your children? I should not have left India. I'm ashamed of you. And she literally tried to knife me. And somehow that night, I think things changed for me. I was alive, but I went back into hiding.
Do you think if legally there was acceptance culturally, that would move forward too, or is that too far back?
See, I think if you have legal rights, that's a start, that's a beginning. So that's the first thing we have to remember, and that's what we're fighting for. Culturally, we are a long way away. Last time in April, the government of India, the current government, came out with a statement saying that they oppose because same-sex marriages or same-gender marriages will break the fabric of Indian society, that it is against our culture there, which I don't agree, which none of us agree, because it is not true. Since I came out, people need to have felt the need to label me as that Indian lesbian, mother of kids, now a partner. It's like so many labels. I think things will change. I think things will change once we realize that being gay is not the only identity. The identity is wholesome. There are so many aspects to a person's life. But I'm happy with that label for now, because if I wasn't visible, then I wouldn't have been able to make the difference in many people's lives. Visibility is really important. Love should make you feel like you're rising every morning. You wake up, there's purpose, there is meaning. You're talking about disruption. Actually, simple disruption is to be able to love and respect each other every day of your life. That's disruptive, because people think that disruption is doing something really different. Stick to the love you have in your life.
But nothing felt as violent as becoming a mother.
I cannot do it all, and I'm okay with that.
When things are going really wrong, that's when you're learning the most.
What daily decisions are you making which are genuinely going to change the world?
So much more we could do to build generational wealth, to build communities upwards through actually owning the means of creating wealth and supporting people to either become leaders within established businesses or to establish businesses themselves.
She's a woman. All she sees a woman. All she sees a woman.
I knew I wanted to change the world when I was 14.
I had the opportunity to do a TEDx talk, and I did it on the future of entrepreneurship, inclusion, Africa, and I was on that stage and I realised something. I realised that this was how I could make a difference. I could make a difference by speaking truth to power. I could make a difference by amplifying voices. I can make a difference by, actually showcasing the challenges that exist in terms of starting businesses if you are a woman, if you are a minority founder, but more importantly, giving these founders a space where they could grow.
She's been through thick and thin, family, enemies, all of this. All you that life could give, cause it's ever woman, babe. Thick and thin, family, all the ill that life could give.
And we know how powerful that the media is, and we as an organization want to do our part in making sure that we can create positive media and ensure that women, every woman, no matter who you are, I mean, if you take a look around this room, there's a different array of so many women, whether it's your ethnicity or your background or, what your stage in life, there's so much, and it's so incredible to bring all that in one place and ensure that everyone feels seen and heard.
Who can fight, who can quench, who can say that her place in the world?
And empower women with information about their bodies.
I think the biggest thing I wanted to say to you, more than anything else, is that I'm a woman. Never would have guessed. I have a set of breasts and I have a fanny, ultimately. But until I was about 31, 32, I've never experienced an orgasm.
I can't be serious with you. What?
Afternoon, Dolly. Yeah, but that's the whole point. Okay, you keep asking me what makes me a disruptor.
Yeah, what makes you a disruptor? Yes. Let's go.
I don't conform to the norm. Woohoo! And I don't. I'm not what everybody would expect to be a normal woman. What is normal?
Yeah.
I'm definitely not normal.
So are we supposed to have sex? How many of you have ever had an orgasm? How many of you ever haven't had an orgasm?
So you asked me about my life journey, and it started when I was 6 weeks old, when my parents, that I absolutely love and adore, my mum and dad, picked me up from a foster home or a care agency in Exeter and took me home and adopted me.
I have 3 children. I have lost 7 in total. And I am convinced that who you are is who you want to be.
I lost 3 babies in very quick succession, including an 18-week-old little girl who I named Poppy May, and giving birth to her at home and having to put her in like a formalin pot so that they could find out what was wrong and everything else, and there wasn't anything wrong. And everybody always said to me, oh, that must make you so depressed and so sad. And I went, why would that make me sad? The fact is that that's a little angel that was born to me but wasn't supposed to be here at that point. And if I hadn't lost her, I wouldn't now have the 2 beautiful boys that I have.
My mother died, unfortunately, back in November last year from a very short injury of pancreatic cancer. She found out and she died 6 weeks later. Hence why I was saying to you about my company, I want to give people that opportunity to get themselves tested, to find out where their safety limits are, to find out their health, their well-being, to give you guys that ability to actually go out to get your diet advice, to get your health advice, anything that goes with it.
When you reach the age of, what was I just turned 51. The last thing I thought I'd ever do was lose my mum.
How many of you know or have had family that have died because of cancer-related situations? Basically, what I'm trying to say to all of you is take charge of what you've got in your own body. Don't let anybody believe that you should be something different. Go out there, fight for yourselves, fight for your own ability. If you want to sit in your own bedroom and give yourself a wank, feel free.
I'm just so grateful. I'm glad that we did this together.
This woman's brave, this woman's so big, and she occupies space. This woman's so big, and she occupies.
I wonder if any of you have ever felt invisible.
I went to prison for defending my older sister when she was attacked in a nightclub. I'm Ugandan, I was born in Uganda, I'm Ugandan Rwandan. I've grown up here all my life, probably from the age of like 3, 4. So going to prison, I was sent to a foreign national jail. Foreign national prison is where you're sent as an inmate if you're not born in this country, by the way. And then they tell you you're going to go back to your country. So I was threatened with deportation. I went on hunger strike because I felt like that was the only way I can fight the officers, because every time I spoke, it would be like, oh, she's aggressive, she's like this. And so I just didn't eat because I thought if I don't eat, I don't have the energy to argue with you. And that means I don't get in more trouble. That means maybe you'll listen to me if I become weak, because by talking, I show you my strength, and my strength is definitely fearful to use.
And what was your experience like after prison?
When I was in prison, I saw like loads of women coming in and out, the revolving door a lot. Like the video always talks about the revolving door between prison and outside. And I remember hating them women. I really did. I was like, you lot are just a waste of space. Like, I want to go home. I want to be with my family. And you keep coming in and out. You know, blah, you don't know. It's not easy on the outside. I'm like, how could it not be easy? But I guess for me, I left a flat, 1-bedroom flat. So I had family. I had people that lived close to me. Some women don't have that. They don't have a family. They are addicted to drugs. They've become prostitutes for no reason, not because they woke up and said, I'm going to be a prostitute, but before prison, I didn't know that. I would have areas that I know, oh, there's a prostitute area, or there's the druggies, you know. I looked down at them people. But being in prison kind of showed me how similar I could be them. I could have ended up loving the wrong man and, you know, getting addicted to a drug that has now made me commit crimes. I didn't understand that. So when I got out, you know, they tell you freedom is outside and you're going to be free, but the officers tell you you're always going to come back here. So when I got out and I couldn't find a job, from always being kind of like available to get jobs, and I remember every single time I got close to something and it was taken away, I would end up drinking with the wrong people, get angry and argue with a shopkeeper, or just end up in a police cell. So I was arrested at least 2 times after going to prison, which was weird because I'd never been that person. And I quickly realized that getting out and staying out is hard. If you don't have the right support, if you don't have the right friends, if you don't have, you know, if you're thrown back into the same community, it's easier to go back. And I've seen women go right back because the scariest thing is they feel safer in prison. And that, for me, knowing that once upon a time prison wasn't a part of my life, to hear that and know that, and understand it even, a woman can say, I feel more safe in prison, behind a door, that means that in society, we really are not doing enough for women at all. And if there's no justice for women in the justice system, because half of them shouldn't be there, and there's no justice for women in society, then where is the justice for women?
This woman's brave, this woman's so big, and she fight for her place. This woman's so big.
I left work, took the tube, slipped and fell through the gap in between the platform and the tube. I screamed for help, nobody heard me. The train departed and crushed my arm, 20 tons of steel. I couldn't resist, I wasn't strong enough for that. And then I shouted for help for about 10 minutes. Nobody came. And then the second train came into the station and took my leg. But I was still conscious and I was still determined that I was going to go home to see my 2 daughters who were waiting for me. And I continued to scream for help. Thank you. Every morning when I wake up, I can see the darkness, the abyss. It's, on my left, it's there. But then on the other hand, I feel it's such a privilege to be alive, right? We skirt death probably many more times than we care to think of. The question that I get often is like, but how did you do it? Because it's such a enormous physical feat as well. I spent 8 months in rehabilitation, just physio, building the strength up, learning how to walk again, learning every day to control this amazing technology that allows me to hug my children again with 2 arms. But the real driver is the positive mindset. It's like our bodies can break and they will deteriorate with age. But if you keep the positive mindset and you say like, we've got to keep going, we can't give up, then you win.
So big, she occupies space.
Strong people draw in other strong people.
Yes.
And those people make you even stronger. And that's what you got to remember. And that's what a disruptor is. They are there to make you stronger.
Yeah. Okay, yes, it's a wrap. Woohoo!
Fighting all the crew, them lost. Fighting all the crew.